Hey guys, welcome back to the Brik House. Brik here, and wouldn't you know it, Pokemon Unite decided to drop a new patch at midnight, right on schedule for Pokemon Unite. Sadly, not on schedule for anyone else over here. So, dropping at 7 a.m. I believe that is GMT, but Thursday morning for most of us. In this quick patch for part 2, we have a reminder that Latias is coming to Aos Island, as well as the WCS happening soon, which is the World Championship event that Unite has every year. We're also going to have a 4th anniversary event. Yeah, really just going over things that are already active right now, so we can skip that. So first we have Dragonite, who is getting the special defense and defense increase that we saw a lot of Pokemon got in that last patch. And as I said earlier, there's a lot of Pokemon that kind of got power crept as the game went on. They were good when their defense and special defense were at good rates when the game came out, but ever since newer, stronger Pokemon have come out now, they've kind of fell off in that late game. So nice to see Dragonite finally getting some help in that late game. Next we have Lapras, who has a HP recovery from 3% to 3.5% of its max HP, as well as a cooldown on his Perish Song going from 7.5 seconds to 6.5 seconds. So pretty minor buffs on Lapras as well. The HP recovery is pretty interesting. They say to further enhance Lapras's ability as a defender that absorbs enemy attacks, that healing from its boosted attack that has been buffed. Additionally, allowing Perish Song to be used more frequently make it easier to create opportunities to break the opposing team's formation. So yeah, it seems that they just want to see more Perish Song usage out of Lapras. Nothing out of the ordinary there. So next we have Goodra, who actually desperately needed these special defense and defense buffs for this late game, so nice to see that on Goodra. As well as a buff on its Muddy Water, its defense and special defense increase upon using it are increased by 20%, so 1/5 is a pretty substantial amount. Next we got the Power Whip, which cooldown going from 7.5 seconds to 7 seconds, as well as a 12% damage increase. So yeah, very nice seeing that set on Goodra buffed. It was definitely not doing enough as its role as a defender as was trying to go for, so had to stay in the limelight when the Drive Lens came out, but ever since those nerfs has kind of been struggling to find its footing. So to help Goodra perform in its role as a defender more effectively, its overall durability has been improved. The performance of its moves have also been enhanced, reducing cooldowns and increasing damage to allow Goodra to maintain frontline combat for longer. Yeah, very nice. And okay, Gyarados buffs. Okay. Interesting. They're gonna buff the HP 3,100 early game to 8,200 for the late game. Now he's gonna have 3,250 early game to 8,350 late game. So it's gonna be easier now to survive as the Magikarp, as well as gonna have a little bit more HP for that Rayquaza fight, which is interesting, as well as a damage increase on its flail by 10%. To further emphasize Magikarp's strength in adverse situations becoming stronger as its HP gets lower, the damage as flail has been increased. Additionally, by slightly raising its max HP, it is easier now for Magikarp to maintain the HP range, where flail is most effective, making the high risk playstyle more rewarding. Interesting. Yeah, both these buffs are definitely more geared towards Magikarp. I mean, obviously buffing the flail, right? But I guess they didn't like how Gyarados was just so hard to play, especially for some of these new players getting this free Unite license and trying Magikarp out for the first time, getting put into situations and, you know, getting KO'd because flail is a move that does more damage depending on your HP, right? So yeah, try to make it easier for these newer players, it seems, which is kind of scary because Gyarados is already so oppressive, and yeah, making the Magikarp stage easier is, I don't know about that. We'll see how that works. So next is Ho-Oh, the first Pokemon we expected to get nerfs. I mean, its Sacred Fire was doing too much damage, and it wasn't, you didn't have to be a genius to know that. I think everybody recognized that Ho-Oh was going to get nerfed very soon. Sacred Fire definitely was just way too overtuned, and again, really nice to see that move change that Ho-Oh eventually got, but yeah, needs some adjustment to say the least. So first they're gonna nerf the damage by 30%, nerf the attack increase on itself from 30% to 15%, so just halving that, and as well as an attack decrease on opponents going from 15% to 10%, so small nerf on there. Sacred Fire Plus also getting a nerf, the attack decrease on opponents going from 30% to 20%, so definitely a nerf all around the board right there, and as well as a nerf to its Fire Spin, having a 10% damage decrease. So they say here, after the last adjustment, Ho-Oh's offensive and defensive performance exceeded expectations, creating too many situations where it's overly advantageous against other Pokemon. Therefore, the damage of its main moves and the effects that strengthen itself and weaken opponents have been nerfed to create opportunities for opponents to counter. Yeah, I really hope that these are enough for Ho-Oh. Honestly, these are very good nerfs, very good substantial percentages we are seeing here, as opposed to some of these earlier ones, which are more hovering between that 5 to 10% range. So really nice to see some actual nerfs on a very oppressive build, and hopefully we can see a lot less Ho-Ohs in our game, but it's nice to see them. Galarian Rapidash also getting nerfed with its Dazzling Gleam. Okay, interesting. Dazzling Gleam getting nerfed only by 10%, so not too substantial, but something that you're definitely gonna feel. Galarian Rapidash's high mobility allowed Dazzling Gleam to deal a level of damage that was difficult for opponents to counter. This move's damage has been slightly reduced to give opponents a better chance to fight back. Yeah, I mean, right now, Rapidash is one of the best speedsters in the game, but that's more so because speedsters are just in a terrible position. But yeah, very interesting to see that they're getting nerfed instead of kind of buffed. I was more so hoping that Pokemon like Gengar or even Leafeon to some extent could get buffed for that late game. Sort of how we're seeing a lot of these all-rounders and defenders getting these HP or defense and special defense increases, but maybe that's going to be for another patch. We'll see some changes in these speedsters. But that's about it for these patches. The rest is just a couple of bug fixes, and most notably, Latios is not in this patch, and honestly, I completely expected that. If you were part of any of my streams, question was brought up a couple times if Latios was going to get nerfed, and I wholeheartedly believed that Latios was not going to get nerfed until after Latias came out. Pokemon Unite really likes these new releases being OP for the first 2-3 weeks, and we're only on week 2 of Latios being OP, so we're definitely going to have to see probably 5 weeks of this, because these guys are technically a dual release. But yeah, hopefully Latios can get his day of reckoning soon, and our games can go relatively back to normal, where we're only complaining about the Alcremies and the Blissies. Anyways, that's gonna be it for the patch note for this time. Thank you guys for watching. I've been Brik. Stay nasty, guys.